Y'all don't need to hear me cough at the beginning of this. Excuse me. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Katie Rudy to the show. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thanks. I was just having a nice coughing fit right before this. My fall allergies are in like full swing. So,
And you wake up every single day going, oh no, is this the Rona?
yes. Yes. Oh.
My sisters are in the healthcare field, and like when the pandemic first hit, there was this video or this picture of this little kid sitting on the couch cushions in like all gray sweatpants. The couch cushions are like stacked vertically on the couch behind it, and it's like the kid is just sitting there pouting, and it says, "Me going to work, wondering if today is the day I'm gonna get the Rona."
Yeah.
And they just shared it back and forth every single day.
Yep. Yeah. No, in fact, I just scheduled my booster. Sign me up.
Yeah. I'm contemplating it, considering how many stadiums I go to with 100,000 people.
Uh-huh. Please, I was in a bowling center this weekend for a pro-am. We had about 150 people in there, and I was still like, yeah. So
yeah, white out with 110,000 of my closest friends.
Yeah. Yeah, big time.
Yeah. But I'm like, if I survive that, I feel like I've got to have a really solid immune system right now.
Exactly, right? Absolutely. Hey, Allison, how are you?
Hey, how are you guys?
We're good. We're
How
good.
are you?
So it's just going to be the three of us. Craig called me up yesterday to let me know he was not going to be here. Everything's fine. He just had a little family surprise kind of thing. So he will share more with us next week, but all is good. He's like, you said I can't be on the call while I'm driving in the car, right? I go, no, you need to be completely focused. So do what you got to do. It's totally okay. He's like, all right, I will catch the recording. So all's good there. So where I wanted to kind of start off, and Allison, I wanted to start off with you since we didn't really, I wanted to start off with you today.
You're funny.
We didn't really get a lot of time with you last week, so I wanted to kind of start off with you. Like, give us a little bit more of an update. Like, what's been going on with the new job? What's happening? What's there? What can we help you with today? Like, give us the update because we're curious.
So again, it's very slow on this end. I did fingerprinting last Thursday. I basically really can't do anything until I get the security clearance. So at this point, I'm reviewing contract documents. I'm trying to figure out where the list of deliverables is, just kind of, hunting and pecking for information. I don't think that things are as well organized as they could be, but maybe that's why they hired me.
Okay.
I was going to say, so you're building an entirely new onboarding program.
Yes.
Well, the onboarding in terms of, the benefits and the training on the application is okay, except for the people that are training on the application don't necessarily understand the hiring, I guess, the government hiring process. So when you start asking questions about why something's happening the way it is, they can't answer it because they don't have both, right? Apparently, I mean, from what I've seen, federal hiring is very complicated. Like, I don't understand why it's so complicated, but other than the fact that it's the federal government, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Each of the agencies, as an example, has their own HIPAA training. They have their own X training. Like every agency, instead of there being one institution that does training for all federal government employees, each agency has their own training department, and you have to take training on their system. So I could take HIPAA training with 10 different organizations if I'm managing all 10 of those projects. That's our federal government for you. Just saying.
Seems like a completely efficient use of time.
Not really.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, in terms of, I don't know. I feel like I don't have enough. I have no idea how they manage projects, for example. I still don't understand. I've asked for, where's the project management plan that pertains to the contract you signed in 2019? They have an Excel sheet with a list of deliverables with no dates assigned. They just have to happen sometime within this fiscal year. So I'm literally starting from scratch to try to find, okay, well then how are you collectively managing all of these moving pieces? How are you ensuring that all of these items are getting done? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I'm listening to you.
I can only laugh about it because.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you have to laugh, otherwise you cry, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and Allison, I'm listening to you and I'm thinking about Richard and all of our friends who are in the federal government and all these different agencies and stuff like that. And they all say the same thing. Like,
well, I remember
everything
now
just
why
takes a long time.
But I quickly now have been reminded why I got out of government contracting.
Mhm.
Remember, I got out of that in 1998.
Yeah.
And I can say that nothing's changed.
I was going to say, look at how much progress they've made in just 20 short years.
Wow. But you know what? Now that I'm older, I am fine with this pace of a snail. Fine with me.
So how do you find yourself occupying your time then?
Let's see. I'm definitely doing laundry in between.
Okay.
I've identified training classes in the private sector pertaining to Agile that I've been taking.
Mm-hmm.
So I can get PDUs towards my other certs. And then they gave me an exercise that I've been working on trying to finish. They call it a scavenger hunt. So you go into their application and you try to find answers to things. So I get bored with that after about an hour.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been doing a little at a time every day. And then I have meetings in between.
Mm-hmm. What are the meetings like?
I'm just sitting there listening. Some of them are customer calls,
Mm-hmm.
but again, I can't do anything. All I can do is kind of listen to what's happening. But I have difficulty following along again because I don't have a list of tasks or an overall project plan to understand where these items fit in the overall picture. You know what I mean? So piecemealing, I'm looking at each individual project that they're working on to understand what it is they're talking about. What is the project about? What is the goal? Where are we? Yesterday, for example, I sat on a requirements discussion with a product owner from Monster. So,
how are things with your boss?
She was really good for the first 3 weeks, but I don't think I have any check-ins scheduled. Let me see. My next check-in, she has no check-in scheduled for this week.
Okay.
So I may need to schedule those check-ins for her.
Allison, when you say she was really good for the first 3 weeks, tell us what that looked like.
She had at least 2 meetings a week set up with me to do a check-in. 2 to 3 a week. And then those just dropped off the calendar.
And what were some of the things you talked about during those meetings, and how much time and that kind of stuff?
Half hour. And I basically just provided her status updates. And then I would have a list of questions, and I would ask my questions during that, meeting if I had any.
Okay.
But I have to assume no news is good news. Like, all she kept saying was, I'm hearing such great feedback about you and Aisha. She was another girl that started. Nothing but positive feedback. Keep up the great work. Well, that's great and all, but I'm not doing anything. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying, yeah. Yeah, I
It's
know.
like, it's like there is no work for me to do right now, really, other than look at the project documentation, try to figure out what's going on. But in terms of setting up, for example, performance goals for the quarter, we haven't discussed that.
Yeah.
What do you expect to see from me in the next 30, 60, 90 days? What does that look like to you? But I think that perhaps they don't want to set up any goals until I get the clearance.
Yeah.
But to me, that almost seems too late, right? Because I need to I from the time that I get that clearance, I need to understand what the expectations are.
So to be clear, are they not giving you access to anything with the project because you don't have your clearance yet?
Correct.
Okay.
The only thing I have access to is SharePoint and the internal documentation.
All right. How messy is that SharePoint?
Pretty messy. And unless you walk through it with someone,
you have no idea what the hell's where.
You're just like, okay, it's in terms of titling, it's pretty, it has a folder called contracts. Well, that's great. Inside contracts, it has multiple years. But let's say you didn't know that the last contract for the VA was signed in 2019. Well, until someone told me that, what am I going to do? Click on every single year to find the contract? What's the most current contract we're working on? And I don't think everything is in SharePoint.
Right.
Because there are documents that are being shared with me on calls. Like I was on a call this morning with a salesperson for the VA. She showed me a PowerPoint that she put together for herself in 2016. That is not in SharePoint. I'm like, is that in SharePoint? And I'm going, why isn't it in SharePoint?
Yeah.
Like, people should not be permitted to work on their desktops. I'm sorry. All documentation pertaining to the project should be in SharePoint. The other thing I keep seeing is people keep forwarding documents rather than the link to the document in SharePoint.
Okay.
That's horrible.
Agreed.
Why are we forwarding? This is 2021. Yeah. Why are you forwarding me documents that I'll never be able to keep track of in email?
Because people still haven't gotten over their control issues.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, right. Well, but truthfully though, right? Like if I have possession of it and I don't put it in SharePoint, then I have ultimate control over it and you never do unless I decide to send it to you.
Yeah. Well, when I was head of the, the DHS team at Vibrant, my number one rule was everything's in SharePoint. And if I saw something on your desktop, you got 10 demerits. And I did. I still had some business analysts who would work on things on their desktop. And I'd be like, no, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I need to see those changes in real time.
So right? Is that something you see instituting when you get ownership of your projects?
I can institute it for myself. It may be a suggestion for the team moving forward.
Okay.
But the other thing that's in flux is that they are migrating to a new system, and I forgot what the system is. I haven't ever heard of it. Meaning they're going away from SharePoint.
Okay.
And I don't know why, but it has something to do with FedRAMP.
I don't know what that is.
FedRAMP is a requirement. If you want, for example, AWS is FedRAMP approved.
Okay.
If you want the government stamp of approval for your applications, for your systems, you have to meet certain requirements.
Mhm.
SharePoint does not meet whatever requirements those are that FedRAMP has instituted. So if you want that certification, then you have to, all your ducks have to be in a row in terms of your security for your applications, the security for your internal documentation. And so that's why they're going away from it.
Mhm.
How things will be organized and when that will be migrated are all questions we've been asking, but I don't think that there is a set date as to when it's going to happen, just sometime at the end of this year,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
Yeah. All right. So here's what I'm super curious about, knowing how your brain works and processes information and stuff. So you've
Big
been on
smile
this
on my
job.
face.
What's that?
Big smile on my face.
Yeah. So you've been on this job 3 weeks now?
Dude, I'm on day 22.
22. All right, good. All right. So we're into week 4. And you're observing and listening and seeing all this stuff that's going on. What are the 3 things you see yourself immediately doing once you get your clearance?
Organizing the project documentation.
What else?
Putting together a list of, deliverables that are due this year and next year. Having an understanding of how I will be participating in the contract re-up, which is in April of next year. What needs to be done in preparation for that?
Anything else?
Getting a better handle on who the key players are at the VA and who I'll be working with.
Mm-hmm.
They keep saying that there is basically the PM on the VA side is in flux. The real PM is on administrative leave for who knows how long. They have an interim PM. Apparently she's fantastic, very organized. Our guys love her. They want her to stay in the position. The guy that's on administrative leave, not so much. Doesn't know what he's doing. Needs to be handheld. So not sure how I'm going to manage that. If he comes back, right? That's all an if.
So knowing these things that you want to be able to tackle as soon as you get your clearance, and knowing how you do things, because this is your genius and this is what you're really, really good at, how much do you think this either changes, revolutionizes, or blows them away in terms of how you come in and lead this project for them?
Yeah, I don't know. I need to have a handle on how they're currently managing before proposing any changes. Never, never, never make changes until you understand what is being done and why.
Mm-hmm.
I still have yet to see a project plan. And it's in the contract. She showed us a contract this morning and it says project plan will be done within 5 days after, I don't know, signing of the SOW.
Mm-hmm.
So where is that?
Hmm.
So I need to get a handle on, how the project management is currently being done, summarizing the key deliverables. When are those due? I know there's a monthly report due on the 7th of every month. So this week I am working on the contractual deliverables that are due with another woman who, I think I told you, she came back to Monster as a contractor, but she was with Monster full-time.
Mhm.
She left to go to Oracle, and she's the one that worked 60 to 70 hours. So she quit within 2 months and then came back to Monster, but she came back as a contractor part-time.
Mhm. Yeah,
She didn't want to be full-time. So she's kind of walking me through it because she's a little bit more familiar.
Mhm.
Although what I'm finding with every time I meet her, she's not that familiar. She's having to ask a lot of the questions that I am.
Okay.
Where are the contract documents? Which one should I be operating off of? What are all the enhancements we agreed to do? Where are the requirements for those things?
Mhm.
Asked a question today. We were looking at bugs, for example. One bug was XYZ report takes 10 minutes to generate. I said, okay, Michael, so how many minutes should it be generating within? Oh, well, we don't have an SLA. There isn't a requirement. Then I said, well, how can you report it as a bug then? How is it a bug if you don't have a requirement for how long the report should take to generate? Oh, well, we don't want to go there. That's why we're moving to Tableau. It's a new analytics that they're trying to integrate. But I was just on a committee at Vibrant and we were getting rid of Tableau.
I was gonna say, I have very limited experience with Tableau, but I thought the reporting is very manual to set up.
It's manual and it's not designed for idiots. So if you're wanting to integrate an analytics tool that will be easy for users to set up their own analytics, right? It's okay to set up a few boards for them that are standard, but they also need the ability to set up their own stuff. They cannot set up their own stuff in Tableau. And as you know, if you have 30 government agencies on your platform, how many different requirements are there going to be in terms of how they're analyzing their hiring data? And did we think through this process? And that was one of the first things that I said to my boss. She goes, "We're implementing Tableau." I said, "Huh? What?" Where is the analysis page on this? Can I see it in Confluence? Because we had a whole page that I had set up from a vendor analysis standpoint to determine how we were going to select the vendor. What are the requirements?
Yeah.
Right? You have your business requirements, you have technical requirements, right? It's not just from a business standpoint or a user standpoint. Where is this? Couldn't share that with me.
They didn't have it, right?
Well, if they do, it's again on somebody's desktop.
Yeah.
When it should be on Confluence where everyone can see it, right? We can see on what days they had the meetings with the vendors. People voted, your core team, whoever was on the leadership team for choosing the vendor, voted. Representatives from QA, product, dev, business, right? So that everyone is involved in that decision. And everyone clearly understands, what the limitations of that system are. But the biggest limitation is Tableau is not user-friendly. It's not. And it is going to take a lot of time and effort to set up standard reports, which may or may not serve in the best interest of all of our customers. Right? if each agency is doing their own thing, then
Yeah.
which obviously they are.
Mm.
So anyway,
Allison, I love how your mind is working through all of this. Like it doesn't surprise me knowing you and working with you a little bit before the group, but coming into this and everything that we had talked about prior, like it's really clear to me how you're just taking in all of this information and you're observing and you're witnessing and you're seeing and you're processing. And there's that part of you that just seems like, all right, once I get my clearance, I'm going to pick my battles, but I know how to run a project, and I know how to run a project really, really well. So if you're impressed with me now, there's a whole lot more coming.
yeah, I hope it goes that way. Part of managing a project, though, is understanding all the components.
Yeah.
And that's the piece that I don't have a good handle on at this point.
But even being aware of that, though, like, to me, that's just you being you and knowing that's the piece that's got to get figured out. Right. I'm not saying that you're coming in once you get your clearance and be like, there's a new sheriff in town, ladies and gentlemen, pew, 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 and like shooting off bullets and all those kind of things and being like, we're doing this, we're doing this, we're doing this, we're doing this. You're very aware of all of the things that are going on and the things that you know and the things that you don't, because that's how you show up and lead. But it's really like, I can't think of the right word. It's just like really good just to hear you processing all of this, because it just kind of confirms like you got your finger where it needs to be right now.
Yeah. And I think that, I mean, what they have indicated is that, they're not going to expect that I know the system when I take over these projects. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're saying, oh, it'll be a good 6 months or longer before you understand our systems. And I'm like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the transition will be slow. For example, I was told that most likely it'll be January before I get my clearance.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
I do. And having worked with some ITs and PMs that have been on federal projects and been in similar situations, 3 to 6 months is totally reasonable.
And that's fine. I'm good with that. I guess what I'm saying is I'm good with it.
Yeah.
I'm good with taking it slow.
But you want a game plan for those 3 to 6 months.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I do need to have a game plan.
Yeah.
So anyway, like I said, I will, since Jennifer hasn't set up the check-ins, I'll set up the check-ins.
Okay. I like that.
Because that's the most I can, you know what I'm saying? I know I don't want to take up her time, but at the same time, I want to make sure that I'm meeting expectations, and I want to continue to get that weekly feedback from her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Allison, I'm sharing this in the chat. So there's a woman that we've had on our podcast. Her name is Steph Smith, that she runs trends for The Hustle. But she put together a thing. It's called a personal user manual. So she actually goes in and shares this with her bosses, like when she starts a new job or starts a new team, that like, this is how, she's like, this is how I work best. This is how you can give me feedback. And she actually gives this up front to her supervisors. And I have fallen in love with this idea. So passing it along in case it might be helpful for you.
Cool. Yeah, that's very helpful.
Nice. And Katie, if you wouldn't mind, put that in the Facebook group as well.
Sure.
Craig might be interested as well, and I'll certainly check it out too. So that'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still want those Cowboys tickets. I'm sure he didn't appreciate it. I would have made
No,
calls.
he
though.
didn't need it now. He's good. He's good. Um, yeah. Uh, yeah. I don't want to. I don't want to spoil his fun. I'm not going to say. I don't have permission to share, but
Oh man,
yeah.
you're not going
No.
to tell us how great his team did?
I know. He'll give us the update next week. I'm not gonna spoil it.
You got tears in your eyes. So.
I do. I do. Yes. Katie, let's change the subject. Let's change the topic. Allison, you're making me blush. Katie, let's go over to you. Give us the update. What's been going on for you this week?
This week we're what I feel like I'm all over the place. We're
Okay.
trying to plan a very last minute trip for a client visit. So we were literally like booking flights yesterday, got the confirmation. We're like, is there a 24-hour cancellation policy? We finally got it confirmed today that we're leaving and flying out Thursday morning. So
Going anywhere fun?
down to we're going to be in Mississippi
Okay.
for a client visit. So
Nice.
but it'll be good. Like I've got two of my team with me. So I welcome every opportunity I had to be in person with them. I learn a lot from them. So I think it'll be really good.
Mhm.
We've got a lot of changing things going on with our team right now. And I think I've mentioned that I've been kind of split between two companies that I'm hoping within the next couple of weeks, it'll be down to one. So that is my biggest opportunity that I'm really excited about. And not having to bounce between multiple projects and multiple different teams and I'm already bouncing in between enough clients and my teamwork. So trying to keep it within one company will be great.
Mm-hmm. How long do you think that's going to take?
Hoping to have everything finalized in the next 2 weeks.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. So
that sounds like a good thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm very excited about it.
Stuff. So what happens for you work-wise so you're obviously in a really big season with college football and everything. Do things calm down after championships and playoffs and stuff and bowl games, or what's the next thing coming up for you?
I think so. I mean, part of it is like a lot of schools are having to make a lot of decisions later than they usually do. So we've got a lot of schools that are in the same boat of, come July, they didn't know if they were going to have fans. And so then they were trying to decide between July and August how to do season ticket renewals and what their fan promotions were going to be, and how to actually welcome fans back after 2 years. And it was a lot all at once. And so a lot of schools are realizing how much help they need actually during the middle of football season. So I think it's actually going to be a busier off season than probably it would have been, because now we're going to be hitting, budget times, and we'll be actually into conversations with a lot more schools as they're, getting their budgets ready. Usually July 1 is like the fiscal year. So we're in conversations with a number of different clients right now that I think will hopefully generate a lot more business for us. So we've been like totally overhauling our entire offerings over the last probably 6 weeks to kind of fit what we're hearing in the industry. And trying to position ourselves to be ready to go as soon as these schools are ready to pull the trigger and make decisions for next season.
Mm-hmm. So what do you like? How can we help you today? What can Allison and I help you work through today that you've got going on?
Yeah. I mean, I think my biggest problem is I have a major focus issue. And as I like to jokingly say, I have TCD, I have task completion disorder, that I just bounce from one thing to the next because I'm a little overwhelmed with the amount of things on my plate. And that's the area where I feel like I'm struggling the most, and I'm probably going to be assuming some other responsibilities from one of our other team members. in the next week. So I'll have even more coming on my plate, but it will all be for a good reason.
Okay.
So Katie, do you use OneNote to organize your day every morning?
No,
You don't?
no. What is
So that
OneNote?
okay, so let me share my screen if I can.
Here, let me give you permission.
Oh yeah, you host, you disabled it.
I did. I'm going to make you the host now. Go ahead.
All right. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So you can see that every day, starting with day 1, I had my complete task list, everything that had to be done.
Yep.
And I've set up one for each customer up here. And then this is all under onboarding.
Okay.
So each day I have my meetings and I list out all my meetings. I list out my tasks for the day and I prioritize them. And I work on one thing at a time until it's done. So if you have a hard time focusing, this is the best exercise you can do every morning at the beginning of your day.
Okay.
And I know that you have tasks that are added during the day, right? Because you said
Yes.
you have a lot of different things going on. You can even, usually right now you can see that I don't have like VA, Defense Nuclear Regulatory Agency, or Department of Commerce. But when you really get things going, you can have your summary of tasks and you can include a name, that says like VA or whatever your project name is.
Mm-hmm.
And you can list out all of your projects and then the tasks under each project. If you want to get really fancy schmancy, then you can add a date, today, or,
Yep.
you know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
And then just do one thing at a time and you cross off your list. What needs to happen? So do you have access to OneNote?
I do not. We just implemented a new ClickUp as a project management tool. So I probably could find something very similar in ClickUp. I just have not taken the time to build my own personal checklist in there. We have a lot of them for like our team stuff, but I haven't built my own personal task list.
Well, and even if you couldn't find it in the immediate, you can use Word.
Yep. Yeah.
If you want to be, but if you ever get access to Microsoft OneNote, that tool rocks. I live and breathe by that to get my task done. And every morning, that's the first thing I do is organize my day.
Yeah, we use the G Suite for just about everything. So I don't even have Microsoft Office on my computer right now.
Well, if there's a tool in G Suite or something that you can use.
Yeah.
Hey,
but
Allison,
I find that really keeps me focused or gets me refocused for the day. Because
question.
like if I have so many things, running through your head, you even dream about stuff.
Yeah.
It's
I
kind of
fall asleep with Audible on every single night, so I stop thinking.
And sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't, but
yeah.
I find that refocusing and just taking a deep breath at the beginning of the day, going through everything, making sure I have everything covered, and then just do one thing at a time. And I actually have a checkbox and I mark the checkbox when it's done.
Yeah.
Allison, when you're planning your day, when you're planning your day, do you ever find yourself over planning your day where you're not getting everything done that you put on your list?
Oh yeah, yes. However, because it's prioritized in order of importance, I'm getting things done when they need to be done. Right? And for those that are the low-hanging fruit, that carries to the next day. If it wasn't critical for me to get it done that day, my focus is always tackle the critical items that must happen today first. Everything else gets carried forward to the next day. then I reprioritize the next day, because maybe something that was low hanging fruit the day before is now become critical or high priority.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But because I always put the items in order of importance, I know it a lot, Katie's probably like me, and all this stuff is in my head somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I can execute based on what's in my head somewhere.
Yes.
But when I actually take the time to put it on paper, I actually find that it's far more efficient. And it actually reminds me to do certain things that I may have forgotten about, that I didn't think were important, but oh yeah, I got to get that done today. It's on my list. And it kind of acts as a double check, right? It also helps me manage expectations internally.
Mm-hmm.
Also,
What if your boss gave you this critical priority that they said had to be done on October 26th? And you've been working on it, but you've planned to work on it through the end of the day. But now your boss says, we have to do this. And it also has to be done by the end of the day. Well, that's when I say, well, you gave me this last week. You said it had to be done by the end of today. I don't have time in my day plan to do Y. So which one do you want me to work on?
Mm-hmm.
Which one is the higher priority? I can't do both. That also keeps me from working 60, 70 hours a week.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're properly managing expectations. And how can you do that if you don't have it in front of your face to see it? Right?
Mm-hmm.
So the whole thing about, meeting your boss's expectations is also properly managing them to what they asked you to do.
Yeah.
Because they forget all the things that they asked you to do, and by when they asked you to do them.
Right.
And oftentimes, I think when I was younger, I wouldn't manage the manager. I would just do it.
Mm-hmm.
And work until 9 o'clock to get it done, 10 o'clock to get it done. No, that's not healthy.
Right.
That's not how things work. I don't mind putting in an extra hour or two, but no, I'm not going to work until whatever, because you came to me at the last minute with this garbage that has to get done.
Yeah.
Katie, how well are you able to prioritize tasks day to day right now, given your attention to take care of everything?
I'm not at all. And part of it is we've got one team member that is not up to par with the rest.
Yep.
And we spend a lot of time redoing his work throughout the day. I mean, even something as simple as a Twitter post takes 3 of us editing it.
Why does it take 3 people to edit it? Why can't that be assigned to one person?
Yeah, I don't know why all 3 of us do chime in, but we're all very protective of the brand and making sure that it sounds better from our voice. And it's kind of whoever, one person will start chiming in, somebody else will start with another bit of feedback. And next thing you know, all 4 people are working on one Twitter post. And we know that it's an inefficient use of time, and we're actually implementing a change by the end of the week. So that is not going to be the way we are moving forward, but it's been kind of the reality the last couple of weeks.
Okay, so when you say a change by the end of the week, does that mean you're letting this person go?
Yes.
Okay, then that saves me 3 other questions I was going to ask you. Okay, good. So bravo, like that sounds like, given things that you've shared in the past,
yeah,
that sounds like the right move.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay.
Are you the one that has to do that?
No, thank goodness.
So how many chances did this person get?
Way too many, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It sounds like they just never fit the bill from the very beginning.
No, they didn't.
Do you think this person knows it's coming?
No.
Okay.
They should, based
Right.
on based on the tone and direction of everything. But I'm not sure this person is aware enough.
Right.
Have they been told directly this is not cutting it?
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay, well, then they should know it's coming.
Right. That's what I'm saying. They've been given more than enough chances. They've been given more than enough feedback. They've been given more than enough opportunities to rise to the occasion.
I remember dealing with a similar situation and had done all those things, like had him repeat back to me, what will happen if you don't meet all the provisions in the performance improvement plan? And he's like, I will get terminated. I may get terminated, all that kind of stuff. When the day came and we were sitting in HR and I communicated that today was going to be his last day and everything, he looks at me and he goes, why? And I went through everything and I said, here's the conversations we had. Here's what you said. Here's what you didn't do. And he looks at me and the HR person and he goes, this is crazy.
Huh?
And I looked at him and I said, I know you've had all these chances and you didn't do any of them. I wish you the best.
Yeah.
And I got called in, like after the whole thing was said and done, the HR rep called me up and she's like, I need to see you in my office. And I'm like, okay, do. And again, she goes, I would have appreciated the comment not being uttered by you. And I go, over what? And she goes, the comment about this being crazy, you didn't need to add to that. And I said to her, and you also haven't been in the conversations I've had with him every day for the last 45 days. Thank you. She was like, I was like, all right, see you later. Have a good weekend. But yeah, it's never easy. There's going to come a time perhaps in your career where you may have to be the one to deliver that message. But it's never pleasant. It's never pleasant.
No.
It's just never, it's never pleasant.
Yeah.
So
Nope.
It's funny on the podcast that we did last week. So we had Scott O'Neill, who was the former CEO of the Sixers and the Devils on our podcast. And, he actually was talking about the conversation that he had with firing people. And he goes, I've been at that lowest point. He goes, I have had foreclosure notices on my house. He goes, I have been completely out of money. He's like, I've been there. And so he was talking through like all the things that he says when he goes to fire people. And I was like, I'm going to hold on to this conversation.
Yeah. What was that? I actually listened to,
he said he still gets Christmas cards from people that he let go because they weren't a fit, but he handled it so well that they still appreciate him. So
was that the one? No,
we
it was
just released
Brett
it yesterday.
Hobart. Brett Hobart was the one that I listened to. Yeah.
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 I love that one.
It was good. It was definitely good. Enjoyed it.
You should listen to the one that we did. So the last two that we've done have been some really good ones. So Jamie Pollard, he's the AD at Iowa State, and just really real, and was actually very, he gave a lot of insights that not a lot of people have actually shared. And then this one with Scott O'Neill was really good.
Nice stuff. All right. So now we're going to turn the car back around.
Yep.
Right. Come back to the whole thing about helping you focus a little bit more. Given like what Allison shared with OneNote and things that you've been thinking about in this conversation, what's something you want to do over the next week just to help you focus a little more intentionally so your workday gets a little bit easier?
I need to take control back of my mornings, because I've gotten into a bad pattern of I'm not falling asleep until like 1, sometimes 2 o'clock in the morning. So therefore I wake up at the last minute and I'm like, feeling like I'm having to rush to work at 9 o'clock in the morning, even though I work from home.
Yep.
And like, I need to take the time to sit and outline what I need to work on as opposed to just jumping into work. But I feel like I'm already behind when I get to work. So I just start jumping into things.
When you say take control back of your mornings, tell us what that looks like.
Like waking up at 7 and sitting with a cup of coffee and like maybe not jumping right into work, but reading a book for 30 minutes and then making my list of things that I need to do. Mm-hmm. and having more time in the morning as opposed to feeling like I'm already behind the 8 ball and jumping right into work. Mm-hmm. But I noticed that because I've been staying up later than I should.
Yeah. Well, and when you have a lot of stress and there's a lot of things on your mind, it is kind of hard to wind down at night. Right? Yes. It's why you fall asleep listening to Audible, just to kind of get yourself down and everything. Do you ever do any planning for the next day the night before?
No.
Would you be open to exploring that?
Yes.
Okay. One thing to try might be after you've closed out your day, you're like, okay, I'm not doing any more work. I'm done. Take those 5 or 10 minutes to figure out what's got to happen tomorrow. What are your priorities? What are the things that need to get done? And plan that out, whether you do it in OneNote, you do it on a to-do list or whatever app, whatever that may be. Plan that all out so you can clear your mind where you've closed out today. Mm-hmm. Now you know what's coming up tomorrow.
Okay.
So what happens with that though is like you will still continually think about the stuff that needs to get done tomorrow, but now it's more top of mind. It's not like sitting at your computer at the last minute and then all of a sudden being like, oh crap, I got to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I have way too many of those moments throughout the day.
I know for myself, like I just use a simple to-do list. You know, mm-hmm. I just open up a notepad file and that's it. Though while we were talking, I did download OneNote for Mac. So I am going to take a look at that. But the first thing I do, like when I go to plan my next day, the first thing I do is I list out everything on my calendar. What are my appointments? You know, what are the meetings I have to meet? The mm-hmm. second thing I do are what are the things that absolutely have to get done? Is it the email, the podcast? Is it following up with a client? Those things, right? So it's like one's mm-hmm. all the meetings, two's the stuff that has to get done. 3 is everything else.
Yeah.
You know, and from there I can prioritize, but at least I have a sense of like, I know what I'm getting into. Mm-hmm. And that's in part, like, that's just the school teacher in me where like you would plan out the lessons. My worst lessons were the day when I opened up the book and went, okay, let's figure it out what we're going to do today.
Yeah.
That never works. Right.
Right.
So maybe try just giving yourself 5 minutes at the end of the day to just brain dump the stuff you have to do for tomorrow.
Okay.
And maybe that has some impact or effect on how you're able to quiet your night down. Mm-hmm. And then also, as you think about reclaiming your mornings, that's already done. So now you can sit with a cup of coffee and you can read or you can listen or whatever it is that you want to do in the morning. And have that time for you before you're ready to hit the ground running, and then accessing all of your level 4 energy and giving it to everybody else and putting them first and seeing that level 4 energy drain during the day rather than like taking care of yourself first.
I like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have, because usually, you know, like I have scheduled gym classes at like 6:45 and I'm usually working until like the second I'm changing my clothes to run out the door to go to the gym. Mm-hmm. And then I'm like, okay, well, I'll just pick back up and finish that last project as soon as I get home. And then I usually have my computer on my lap till 10 o'clock at night, which I need to end that practice too.
Right. Yeah.
No, no, no.
Yeah.
The old lady's telling you,
Yeah.
So,
Allison, I
other
may
thing
make that a soundbite out of this recording. No, no, no.
no. Do you also have time blocked off on your calendar during the day to execute on the work you need to get done?
No.
Mm,
Okay,
And I need to implement some of that too.
good point.
number 2.
Yes.
So every day, same block of time, you're doing these things during this period of time and no one can interrupt you. And if they say, oh, can you hop on a call? No, I can't. I have another commitment. And you work on that way during those specific blocks of time on your calendar, you are getting your work done.
Mm-hmm.
You end your day at a very specific time. You go to sleep at a very specific time. So I'm the old lady that goes to bed by 10.
10, that
I'm
sounds
in
lovely.
bed. I'm in
I
the
was
bed.
proud of myself for going to sleep at 11 last night.
Every night, 10
They
o'clock.
made
And I
me
have
do 9.5 minutes of burpees at the gym yesterday. I was dead.
a Fitbit. It tells me time to go to bed.
Oof.
Yeah, I need one of those.
Do you have a Fitbit?
I had one a while ago. I got to see if it still works.
What? You got to get your Fitbit. I love it.
I know. I got really into because the only thing I really use is I use my heart rate monitor. I belong to Orange Theory, so I got addicted to that, and then that was like the only wearable thing I had.
Yeah.
My boss is trying to get me.
I heard Orange Theory once.
My boss is trying to get me into the Whoop band.
What is the Whoop band?
Yeah, what's the Whoop band?
So Whoop it'll measure like your sleep patterns. It measures your, I think it's called your strain, is how they measure exercise. So it like helps measure like your recovery. So that it's not just like measuring like how much you work out, but then like how actually quickly your body recovers so that you know how hard you can work out in like next days. So yeah, he's all about it. But they've gotten really into like the sports community. So particularly with like the PGA Tour, now they're starting to do like they'll actually show like the biometrics of like golfers like heart rate as he's like, you know, putting on like a major hole or something like that.
Wow.
Like, yeah. So
That's
they're starting
cool.
to show like the biometrics of like athlete performance as they're competing.
Nice. Good stuff.
Yeah.
All right. So we got some things to test out this week.
Yes.
Yes. And I have a quick follow-up, John.
Yes.
So next Tuesday is election day.
Okay.
And I have been recruited to be a poll watcher for the whole day.
Okay.
So I am not available to meet on Tuesday.
Okay. Do we want to look at rescheduling then? Katie, is that good for you or?
Yeah, I can reschedule.
Okay.
Let me look.
I can do like the same time on Wednesday if we want to move it to Wednesday.
Wednesday, I have an NRC meeting. Every day next week, except for Friday, I can do it at the same time. Friday, I can do it at the same time.
I can only do Tuesday or Wednesday next week.
So Wednesday, I'm available from noon until 4.
Yeah, I'm available in the same window. The only thing I have next Wednesday is I have a 10 to 10:30.
All right. How about we do noon?
Okay.
That work?
You're the bomb.
All right. And I'll check with Craig and see if he can do that. And then I'll follow up. Okay.
Yep.
So we'll loop him in and make sure that time works for him as well. But knowing we have Wednesday afternoon from 12 to 4, that'll give us some flexibility there. So I'll follow up with him and then I'll update the meeting invite accordingly. Okay.
Yeah.
All
sounds
right,
good.
that sounds like a plan. Thank you
All
for
right.
being amenable.
Hey, absolutely. All right. Thank you all very, very much. Have a good rest of the day. Great job today.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Look for some
Good
stuff.
luck.
Look for an email from me today or tomorrow as well. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
And then John, I just sent you a thing that I needed to reschedule.
Yep. It just came through, and that's totally fine. All good.
Okay.
Thanks for doing that.
I'll be
Okay.
mid-flight, so probably not going to work to do a one-on-one.
No, I'm glad you rescheduled. Right.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Hey,
Thanks,
thank you. Take care.
Allison.
Appreciate you both. See you later.
All right.
All right. Bye.